I'm ready when you are, ma'am. Betsy?
Thank you.
I'd like to welcome everybody to our regular scheduled meeting on this Valentine's Day. I will go ahead and call it to order and start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll continue with the roll call. Ms. Palacio.
Governing Board President Sherry Lowe.
Present.
Governing Board Clerk Denise Reese. Here. Governing Board Member Anthony Bruno.
Present.
Governing Board Member Raul Rodriguez.
Present.
Governing Board Member Dr. John Sparks. Absent. District Administration Superintendent Dr. Manuel Valenzuela.
Present.
Assistant Superintendent Scott Downs.
Here.
Assistant Superintendent Brett Bonner.
Here.
Chief Financial Officer Lisette Huey.
Here. Thank you very much. We'll go on to the approval of agenda. Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, ma'am. President Lowe, at this time, I'd recommend approval of the agenda as it was revised.
We have a recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much. We'll move on to approval of minutes. Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, President Lowe. Members of the board, you have in your packet draft copies from some public gatherings of the board, including the regularly scheduled meeting of the board back on January the 24th, the notification about a possible quorum of the board attending the governor's state report, and also the recently held State of the District event. And after your review and consideration of those documents, I do recommend approval at this time.
I have a recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much. We'll move on to ratification of vouchers. Dr. Valenzuela.
I'll turn it over to Mrs. Huey.
Good evening. Tonight I recommend payroll voucher ratification number 15, new payroll 19 and 20 for total payroll approval of $7,906,554.74. Additionally, I recommend expense voucher ratifications 3057 to 3062 and new expense vouchers 3071 to 3072. For a total of expense vouchers of $5,338,550.41 and a grand total of all payroll expenses for a grand total of $13,245,105.15.
Thank you very much. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
We have a recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Now, Superintendent's report. Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, President Lowe. Members of the board, as always, I am here to proudly share some updates about things happening around the district, and I'd be remiss if I didn't begin by wishing everybody a happy Valentine's Day. The coincidence of our board meetings and Valentine's Day doesn't happen very often. I was actually struggling to remember when was the last time that it happened, but thank you all for being here this evening. Always we begin with enrollment reports where, as you can see, the numbers continue to demonstrate the same trend over time in accordance with previously budgeted items, which is that there is an overall slight difference between the blue line this year and the orange line last year. It's not significant. It's within the margin of our planning. And so we're grateful for that stability. I did note on the upside, our Sahuarita Digital Pathways Academy uniquely has been ticking up in its enrollment, which is encouraging as we built that to be another viable option of educational programming for our students. So that's positive. Speaking of positive, I'd like to congratulate Board Member Bruno. He recently participated in a national conference in Washington, D.C. as part of a coalition that he's a part of. He actually was the caucus chair for the Arizona caucus, where they went to Washington, D.C. And talk about issues related to student wellness, drug abuse prevention. And I think there might be a picture in there that they even had meetings with several distinguished legislators, including Senator Mark Kelly, as you see there. So, Mr. Bruno, you make Sahuarita shine wherever you go, sir. I'd also like to thank everybody, the board especially, for your attendance at last week's State of the District event. It was a great success, and it's one of my greatest joys to talk about our students, our staff, their accomplishments, kind of where we've been, how far we've come, and where we're going into the future. Speaking of the future, we recently launched a new pilot in partnership with the Southern Arizona Leadership Council and Tucson Values Teachers. It's called Principal for a Day. We recently hosted 12 CEOs from various companies around the region, public and private sector, from the university, Caterpillar, Raytheon, University of Arizona. They were from all over the place, Chase Bank. And it was a great chance for them to get an experience about what our school principals do on a day-to-day basis, to kind of share ideas, question each other, and also to look for our common work, our common needs, our common interests, and how we can collaborate together. It went extremely well, and we look forward to this being not only something that we repeat, but that can be hopefully a model for the entire region of collaboration between different sectors, public and private. It's also my pleasure to congratulate Ms. Sarah Mora, who is not only a Sahuarita alum, but also a member of our faculty. Recently, actually yesterday, I think Sarah was recognized with a Special Educator Award from the American Society of Civil Engineers. Mr. Bonner wrote her nomination to the association. Sarah, a very deserving educator, was selected, and next week Brett will be there along with Sarah at the engineers meeting in Tucson for this very special recognition. So congratulations to Ms. Mora. I'd also like to share that, as I often say, we have something special going on in this community in terms of how we work together to find common ground and make us all better. If you've never heard of the Santa Cruz Valley Car Nuts, they're unbelievable. I was invited to judge 400 of the most beautiful cars I've ever seen. I have never seen cars like these. Myself and Mayor Murphy walked and had a great experience, but what was also really beautiful was standing next to the gentleman from the Santa Cruz Valley Car Nuts when he presented me with a check, a fake check, but the real one's in the mail, or so he said, for $20,000 to support the development of our automotive technology program. And again, it just speaks to how together we make Sahuarita shine. I'd like to congratulate our Career and Technical Education program, recently competed in the Region 6 Skills USA competition. So this is for all of Southern Arizona, south of the Gila River, I believe. And this is competition in the various trades of construction technology, digital media, law enforcement, public safety, film and TV. And our students shined, as they always do. We had 12 students that earned medals, gold, silver, bronze, and we had 9 students qualify for the state Career and Technical Education Skills USA competition. So very proud of our students. They always make us shine brightly. And lastly, I'd just like to share for the board that tomorrow is the board lunch. It's at Sahuarita Primary School. So as we remember, we start early. So if you'd like to come, we'll meet at my office at 10:30 and walk over and have lunch with the children tomorrow. So I'll look forward to seeing those of you that are able to make it. And with that, my report is concluded. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to our governing board reports, and we'll start with Mr. Rodriguez.
Thank you. I just want to welcome everybody here. Happy Valentine's Day. Just want to touch on the State of the District luncheon I went to last Friday, and I learned quite a bit. And just a real quick thing I want to talk about was full enrollment. My understanding that we had a long presentation on that, and they kind of showed the graph on how it's progressed. And I just want to say I was really excited to see that Sahuarita School District has taken the lead on that project, on that program. And I just really hope that it continues to grow, provides the students with some incredible opportunities to not only get their high school diploma, but to get college credits as well. If you haven't looked into that, I highly encourage you to do so. And I also really enjoyed all the performances from the students. Thought it was really nice. They put on a really good show for us. My report.
Thank you very much. Mr. Bruno.
I just want to say I had the opportunity to attend the thank you event to the White Elephant. And not only do we cover academics in this school, but we have some amazing, amazing students in band, in performance arts, in dance, right from elementary school all the way to seniors. It was a wonderful evening, and it made me happy to see all the smiling faces and the parents who are there to support their children. As we always say, it takes a village, and you all are part of that village. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Reese.
So if most of you have students in the district, third quarter's nuts. And so there's so much going on. But one of the things that I got to watch this week was the Sahuarita Indoor Percussion Host Show was at Sahuarita High School. 45 teams came in participating in Winter Guard and indoor percussion. Our students did fantastic. Walden Grove took 9th in Winter Guard. Sahuarita took 3rd in Winter Guard. Sahuarita Indoor Percussion, for those of you who don't know, is a combined group from both Walden Grove and Sahuarita High School. They took 2nd in a brand new division. They just went up this year. They took 2nd in their division for the first time. And according to some of the coaches, they were talking afterwards, it's the highest that Sahuarita Indoor Percussion had scored during their first competition ever. So they were super excited about that. And then I just want to put a huge shout out also to our Sahuarita Indoor Percussion cadets at SMS. They were scared and they did awesome. It was so neat to watch our middle schoolers really perform very well. So huge shout out to that particular thing amongst all of the other cool things that are going on in the district right now. But that was a neat, that's the largest Winter Guard competition in the state this year, was the one that Sahuarita High School hosted on Saturday. So it was great.
Thank you very much, Ms. Reese. We will move on to call to public.
Hang on, I have to find the right spot. There we go. Okay, consideration and discussion of comments and concerns from the public. Those wishing to address the governing board may do so at this time or at the board's discretion at the time the item appears on the agenda. All speakers are requested to hold their comments to 2 minutes or less. 20 minutes will be allowed for both online and in-person comments. In accordance with the Arizona Open Meeting Law, board members may not respond, comment, or ask questions of speakers regarding issues not on the agenda. Any comments not read during this agenda item will still be entered into the public record. Ms. Lowell, we have 4 speakers this evening.
Anybody else turn anybody in? Okay.
First up is Wendy Klump. Up to this, the microphone.
Hello, my name is Wendy Klump, and I have 3 students in the district. I have a senior that is at Walden, a freshman, and a 5th grader. So we've been through the district. We've actually been to almost every school in the district. Tonight I'm going to talk about the move for changing the night of graduation for Walden. For my student, I'm also going to represent the grad night board and also for track, because my son's part of all 3. So as for my biggest concern, and I did email Mr. Valenzuela, and he sent a lot of information to me, this wasn't transparent to a lot of the parents. And I'm representing a lot of parents that can't be here because the soccer state championships tonight, Ash Wednesdays tonight. Many parents don't even know. So they did send a text to us on Monday that everybody got, but a lot of people are not getting that parent square. So when parents got it Monday, they were freaking out because there's only 2 options. And the 2 options are not the date of the original graduation, which, like, for me, causes issues. I have family flying in, so we're going to try to change those tickets. Many people were flying out Saturday morning to leave. People have asked for PPO. People have paid for venues, things like that. So let me move, sorry, I started talking too fast. For grad night, we've booked a year in advance. We've booked entertainment, we've booked vendors. Those people are not going to be available because other graduations are going on too. My biggest thing with transparency, if we knew this was happening and this was going to get moved up, why did we not look for venues earlier? Why is it only becoming apparent in the middle of February, in my opinion? The other one is track. So what we were told is that the track will be shut down and Walden will have to go in the evening to practice at SHS. Why would they not be able to practice together? My son's a thrower. You can't even practice at night. My son has gone to state all 4 years and holds our records. Like, how can they not practice? How is this not important to them? So those are my concerns. But my one was transparency mainly. If there's a vote, it should be said if only 8 tickets are allowed to each parent, as opposed to the other venue that's unlimited. It should be known how this venue is going to work. How are the kids going to get up there to practice? How's grad night going to happen? Grad night is supposed to be after the kids finish their graduation to stop them from partying and going and drinking and driving. If it's a day before, how does that happen? If they're up in Tucson, how do they get to the venue? They're not going to. It's just not going to happen. So those are my concerns. Anything? Sorry, I tried to write down notes, but a lot of my questions were answered. I am happy that the district is getting all these new things that are great, and my younger children will be able to enjoy them. There's going to be growing pains all the way around. I do see that there is a stadium down the road. Why could that not be used during the time when things are down? Why, if it does happen, why can track not go together?
Just a few more
I think I'm out of time.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Heidi.
Laura Roll.
Hi, my name is Laura Roll. I am a mom of 1 student, an only child, a senior at Walden Grove. We have a very small family, and there's only 2 of us here. He has no aunts, he has no uncles, and they were all supposed to come to this. And now that the date is changing, they can't come. My brother-in-law is air traffic control in Indianapolis. That is race weekend. He was leaving Friday morning. He can't take off. It's not fair. This date has been planned for a year and a half. We have venues set up. We have invitations already made. We don't have family here, so we were going to have a big party at the park. We have invitations made. We have stuff like, it's not fair. This date has been out for over a year. I know it was out last November. And my son is going to lose all of his family being here, and it's not fair. He's lost all of his grandparents, and now he's not going to have his aunt, his uncles, his cousins, because the date is changing. And again, to piggyback off of what Wendy said, we're supposed to have grad night. We move the lights from the field over to grad night. If those lights aren't there, how are we supposed to use them? How are we supposed to keep our children safe? Yes, the ones that are here, we have good kids. But what about the kids that are going to go out drinking and not go to grad night? What about the ones that are going to not think and endanger themselves and other people? We have grad night to keep our young adults safe. And I don't know how we're going to move it. I don't know how we're going to do things. There's just so much about changing the date that is affecting everybody. It's going to devastate my son. He lost his graduation from 8th grade. He didn't get that. Nobody was here. It's just heart-wrenching. And my son is devastated that he's not graduating at his home school. Anything else?
Laura, 2 minutes are up. Thank you very much.
And I apologize if I don't read this last name correctly, but Roxana Margie. Is that correct? Oh, Marquez. Okay.
So I'm short. Hi, my name is Roxana Marquez, and I'm here not only to represent my daughter, who's a Walden Grove graduate this year, but this day wasn't just planned this year. It's actually been 10 years in the making. My son was the first graduating class of Walden Grove. He was the class president, Nicholas Marquez, and we've been planning this day at that location. And the date is also critical, but the culture that has been created at Walden Grove is huge. The students have always been first. You know, Ms. Hill worked years and years tirelessly to build the school spirit that these kids have. And I don't know if you guys have ever attended any of their events, but every kid takes pride in their school. Every kid participates. Everybody looks forward to that graduation. I was there for the first graduation. It was not a real field. It was not a real stadium. And they did everything they could to make that place work for those students. And I'm just a little bit surprised that this was not considered for these students because, like they mentioned, they missed their 8th grade graduation. We made plans last year. My son was looking forward to coming back to his school to see his sister graduate on the same field that he did. He's in the military. He can't change the date either. So it's unfortunate that the student representation and what they needed wasn't considered before changing the location and the date. And it just breaks my heart because I really love this school district. We've been a part of it for 20 years. You know, it's unfortunate that the students were not considered in this decision. The communication was not there like they mentioned. And, you know, I'm a highly technical person, and I heard it from my daughter, and she was heartbroken. She's like not looking forward to graduation. She's in PAC, she's been a cheerleader, she's been in student council, and for this to be taken away from them, it's pretty sad. And my request is, you know, you're taking it away from the students that are gonna make their last memory. This is their last chance to make a memory at their school, to give it to students that still have another year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Postpone the reconstruction. That school's great. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Roxanne.
Robert Beachy.
I'm going to set a timer.
Hello and good evening, board. It's just a little context. I'm the principal of Sahuarita Elementary School. And I know it might seem kind of crazy, but we're 85% free and reduced lunch. And honestly, a lot of our kids, they don't have pillows and like warm clothes at night. And so I want to pretext that. And we have a lot of pride, and a lot of our students are tremendously well cared for, but this tremendous effort speaks to the heart of one of our board members. So I'm going to read this now. Thank you. Dear members of the board, I wanted to take a moment of time to express sincere gratitude and appreciation to the Sahuarita Unified School District number 30 governing board member, Ms. Sherry Lowell, and her family friend, Akirith Larkley. Sherry and Akirith started sewing pillowcases back in May of last year. From there, they put together well over 100 beautiful custom-made pillows. On December 15th, 2023, Sherry and her family, along with Akirith, delivered these pillows to the students of Sahuarita. Each child was able to pick out their own custom-made pillow, and the genuine joy and excitement on each child's face was truly priceless. On that day, students received toys from the Women Who Care group as well as the Tubac Fire Department. While the children sincerely appreciated these gifts, They were undoubtedly most excited about the pillows. The efforts of sharing a Kirith could be best described as a true and selfless, genuine labor of love. The unique designs of the custom pillows were beautifully inspired, and no two pillows were exactly the same. Most of all, the pillows were comfortable and comforting. For all these reasons and many more, I wanted to make this call to the public to recognize the efforts of Miss Sherry Lowell and Miss Akira Larkley. They are both very kind and inspirational individuals who dedicated countless hours of their own time to make the holiday season just a little more special for the students of Soperry. We are all honored to have Miss Lowell on the SUSD number 30 school board, and the students, staff, and families of Soperry are also incredibly thankful and appreciative of her efforts. On behalf of all of us, thank you again, Miss Lowell, for your most kind and selfless generosity. Sincerely.
It was a fun day. I have to tell you, we were putting them all together in my living room, and I had to call Dr. Valenzuela, and I said, they're not going to fit in my car. So I had a little help with a couple vans from the school district to get them delivered. Thank you very much. Thank you all for coming. We will move on to new business. Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, President Law. I believe you're referring specifically to item A, public online auction items.
That is correct.
And the board does have a list of items that have exhausted their value, and I would request and recommend your designation of these items as fit for public auction so that we may capture any residual value.
Thank you very much. I have a recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much. And move on to new business governing board open enrollment presentation. Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, ma'am. It should be a pretty abbreviated presentation, I might add. As the board and public is aware, public education over the years has changed in the way of choice options and what we now affectionately call open enrollment, where students can go across traditional lines to attend other districts. We're fortunate that we have a number of students from outside our boundaries that choose to seek out a Sahuarita education. And in that spirit, and also in the interest of complying with the legal requirements, we are in need of designating what is termed excess capacity. That's the legal term. It's the amount of space that we have available. Now, I want to stress that our first priority and obligation is foremost to the families and the students that reside in the Sahuarita Unified School District, and we operate in that focus explicitly. However, we do strive to identify excess capacity based on available space so that we can recommend the number of students up to which we are willing to accept based on the legal criteria. So I'd like to ask Mr. Downs to just kind of provide whatever information he has before I make the formal recommendation. Scott?
Thank you, Dr. Valenzuela. Yes, per Governing Board Policy JFB, your decision tonight is the impetus to the process that allows us to take the open enrollment students. Again, as Dr. Valenzuela articulated, we are always obligated to residents, but the excess capacity, which is based on staffing and physical space, is before you. These numbers can change, and in fact, school board policy allows us to change them monthly if we deem we need to increase them because we have information that might lead to us and our ability to take more. And also the process and school board policy allows us to reduce those numbers once we see actual, residents within Sahuarita wanting to come. So this is very standard. This was very similar to last year. It was around 400, which is about 10%. And again, these numbers can increase and we can take more or decrease as we know what's happening. Right now, it's kind of a crystal ball, and the numbers that I asked from each school principal and what they had articulated to me is represented before you. And again, These numbers can change as more factual evidence becomes available in terms of what students are needing. Students are always placed on a waiting list if we find that we don't have space. And at that time, we always meet as an administrative team to figure out, do we have more space? Can we afford more staff? And do we take more students? Because I know in a growing community, we always want to make sure that we're taking every student that we can in the best interest of those students. So with that, I provided the numbers to Dr. Valenzuela, 469 students at the current time. And again, we'll take that monthly after your initial approval.
And at this point, I would recommend designation of the identified excess capacity in compliance and within the requirements of the law going forward, specifically in regards to open enrollment.
Thank you very much. I have a recommendation. Do you have a motion?
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Tony?
No. Just for my own information more than anything else, where does Continental Schools seniors fit into this, and how does that play out in the long run? Do we guarantee them a slot?
Yeah, I think historically, the Continental students, although by law, they have the ability to go to school wherever they like. But based on the proximity and the historical tradition and the strong relationship that we've had with the Continental Elementary School District, the overwhelming majority of them have come to us, and we do plan and budget and incorporate that data as if they were coming from one of our own schools, because historically, the overwhelming majority of them do.
Dr. Valenzuela, to add to that too, we also generally know the numbers that are coming from Great Expectations because they come in as freshmen as well. So we generally know those numbers and make sure we have the capacity based on that historical.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much. And we'll move on to the consent agenda. Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much, President Lowe, members of the board. You have a list of items that are considered routine consent and that the law allows them to be considered in one comprehensive motion. And at this time, I do recommend approval of the consent agenda in its entirety.
I have a recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Any possible future agenda considerations from the board? We'll go ahead and establish the next board meeting, which is February 28th, here in the Pod B, Sahuarita. We don't have an executive session. We'll move on to adjournment. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Thank you all for coming.